Hi, welcome everyone. Thank you very much for coming. You're here obviously for the launch of a new Dyson product. I'm sure you might have your theories as to what this product might be, but I'm not going to steal this man's thunder and tell you just yet. We're going to wait for a few moments. Now, just to remind you guys, obviously there can't be any posting about this until Thursday 10 AM, I believe is the time.
Yeah.
But that's also to show you just, you know, how you're one of the first people in the world to be seeing this new technology. So this is, yeah, pretty special indeed. Look, first of all, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm your MC for our little run around the Dyson world. My name is Aaron Harvey. I'm a former MasterChef alumni. I'm a cookbook author. I'm a stay-at-home dad with a very energetic 4-year-old daughter, and I am a confirmed Dyson addict. So one thing I've learned over the course of the last few years being a stay-at-home dad and, you know, learning how to be a house husband is just how much work is involved with it. There's the cooking, there's the cleaning, the pickups, the drop-offs, the errands, the cooking dinner at night, putting kids to bed. In fact, it never ends. It's a full-time job. And one thing I have learned is that if I want to keep my house entertaining ready, and that means not a total disgrace when friends and family pop by or, you know, unannounced, well, then I really need to stay on top of my game. And that's where Dyson come in. So what we're going to see today is we're going to go on a little journey. And this journey, you're going to see one of the most innovative and game-changing home technologies that you're going to see in a very long time. And I'm very excited about it. But, as I said, I'm not going to steal this man's thunder. This is John Churchill. He is the VP of Floor Care for Dyson. I was originally going to say, you know, he's come a very long way to see us. He's come from England, but he hasn't. He's only come from Singapore, which is not as impressive. But of course, I've only come from St Ives, so that's not impressive at all. But without further ado, here is John Churchill to tell you all about this incredible new Dyson innovation.
Thanks very much, Aaron. Pleasure. You know, welcome to our product launch today, and thank you very much for coming. So, my name is John Churchill, as Aaron says. I've been working at Dyson for 18 years, and I'm an engineer. So for 18 years, I've been trying to design the best vacuum cleaner constantly. Engineering is at the heart of everything we do at Dyson. We employ 5,835 engineers and scientists who globally, also in England, work on trying to improve all of our technologies and really research into new fundamental technologies and concepts that we can put out into the field that have a real benefit. And we think the magic is how they transform the way that people live and add to their health and well-being. So for us, research and technology is in the core of what we do. So if we take a walk down memory lane, Dyson started off in the 1970s with James Dyson exploring technology to separate dust in a vacuum cleaner. He was frustrated with the performance of bag vacuum cleaners. To him, it was stupid to have a technology that clogged as you collected dust. So he saw a fundamental flaw with a frustrating technology. That spurred him on to reinvent and produce the world's first cyclonic vacuum cleaner that we launched in 1993. It took him 5,127 prototypes to optimize the vacuum cleaner performance in the home. Now, our next key milestone was in 2011, when we launched the DC35 product. This contained Dyson's first cord-free digital motor, and that exciting format that was both high-performing, lightweight, and totally removable has totally changed the way that people view the vacuum cleaner and has transformed the way that people clean. Rather than cleaning once and having the hassle of getting the machine out of the closet and then being constrained by the cord, people are now free to clean frequently when dust appears in front of them and efficiently and saving them time due to Dyson technology in their home. Now, today we see that chapter evolving further, and we're excited to announce the third part of our Dyson story, a pivotal amount of technology when we introduce intelligence into our machine and transform again the way that people view vacuum cleaners. So I'm very pleased to share with you today the Dyson V11. I would like to introduce those technologies further. So let's start with the head. This is the high torque drive cleaner head. We have the Dyson V11 digital motor inside. We have our latest and most efficient Cyclone technology inside to separate the finest of dust from the airflow. We've completely re-engineered the battery pack with our highest capacity battery pack to date. We have intelligent transfer of energy right up to the digital motor. And we've made that energy much more visible with a screen that shares how much running time is available on the machine. This is all made possible through the intelligence where we bring these systems together and we're able to communicate how much runtime is available on the machine and how that changes with how you use it. So we think that really will take us to the next level of interaction with our owners and really transform the way you clean. So if you'd like to join me, we would like to go through those technologies in much more detail so you can really understand how they are so advanced and take us to the next level. So please join me in the Dyson Tech.
If we can actually figure out a question, and please ask as many questions as you want throughout this process, but if we can figure out a question that stumps John, all the more power to you, which I think will be lots and lots of fun. If you can't answer one, it'll be awesome.
So this is the V11 battery pack. It's the latest lithium-ion cell technology. We've increased the size of the cell, so we have a 21700 cell using nickel, cobalt, aluminium cathodes, so the latest technology available in the market, the bleeding edge of technology to produce Dyson's most energy-dense battery pack to date. As you can see with our battery pack, we have extensive monitoring and electronics and our battery management system. This gives us precise control over the way that the battery pack is charged and the way the battery pack can be discharged. So we have complete intelligence built within the pack.
Can I, there on the battery thing, so if this battery gets put on charge, you've used it but you haven't used all the battery and you take it off and then you use it again and then you put it back on without discharging, does that affect the, the life of the battery, or does it affect, does it damage the battery in any way?
So we have intelligence also within the charger. So with the charger we have two main aims: to minimise the use of energy in standby, and also prolong the battery life by being really careful with how we charge it. So charging it in the most optimal way for the specific cell we have. So we think that smart charging system helps to extend the battery life. Now in addition to that, to get the best performance out of the machine, we have various algorithms on board the product. These help to learn the machine to learn to adapt to the amount of capacities and how the machine's used, so it can display the most up-to-date information on the screen. So we advise that as the people get the machine, they're putting it straight onto charge. This helps us to start the calibration process. And as they discharge and charge it, that machine will become even more accurate at being able to predict the amount of charge time remaining and the amount of runtime you will have.
Does it tell you how long it will take to charge? We see super fast charging on phones.
Yeah.
Have you been able to increase the charge time?
No,
shorten the charge time with these devices?
Our strategy is to make charging the most gentle on the battery cell possible. We know that when you charge very fast, you can have the machine available to use, but we think there's a penalty in terms of battery pack life. We've taken a different approach by extending the running time, as you'll see with some of the other technologies, and having a bigger pack in the first instance means that we have a slightly increased charging time when compared to V10, but we think that that's something that's a compromise that people are willing to make because we've got more running time available and more visibility of the running time through the screen.
So you refer to 20% up there. Does that mean 20% greater power or battery running time?
So this is exactly on the power. So there's two metrics. So in terms of suction power, we have 20% more than V10. Then we also then have a benefit in terms of pickup. So we have 20% more pickup when it compares to V10. And pickup really is what counts. That performance on the cleaner head as you pick up dust from a carpet or anything ingrained. So we see that it's very easy to pick up on a hard surface, you don't need as much suction. But if you want to truly deep clean your house, you have to penetrate deep into the carpet to suck up the finest dust. So If we keep moving through the technology, please ask me as many questions. It's great to have that interaction.
Sure. So what is the charge time then? How long
So this is 4.5 hours from fully flat to fully charged. Now we think the reality from our insights is fully discharging the pack is unlikely, because we've now got so much more capacity. People are going to keep on topping that pack up if you charge it to dock. The other thing as well is reminding people to put it back on charge. So this will remind you when it needs charging. So if the machine's good to go in each session, then that's the best experience.
And so then how much longer does it take to charge compared to the V10?
1 hour.
An
So
extra hour?
3.5 hours to 4.5 hours. We think from the testing, people will much rather have the running time, and the charging time becomes less relevant.
So what is the running time improvement over the V10?
So if you don't mind, we'll cover that at the end.
But these are all good questions.
But these are great.
These are good questions.
Remind me if I don't answer it specifically, to give you a specific answer. So we've got up to 60 minutes in the UK mode, but actually we think that the modes that really count are the modes where you use it with the cleaner head, and that's the mode we're going to introduce in the future called auto. So hold that for a second. So this is our little video on the battery pack. So really for us, it's around moving from a world that's analog to be fully digital. So the trigger is part of that, so only allowing power when really needed. So if you go around your home environments, there's a lot of time where you're actually moving yourself or moving furniture. So we want to put the user at the center, having that complete control over the product. We don't want to waste that energy. For us, that is very inefficient, very, as the Japanese would say, very muda, very wasteful. So we're very focused in on being as efficient as we can with energy usage. That's why we want to have that digital control on the pack and that digital control of the motor. That's best controlled with that trigger so that people control it themselves. So we talked a little bit in our past about Cyclone technology. So Cyclone technology for us was the big light bulb moment of how do you separate dust from the airflow without reducing your ability to suck. So if we took bag technology, it would be almost like me sucking through a bag, and as the dust was sucked onto the bag and the bigger particles that the bag trapped, I wouldn't be able to suck as hard anymore. So really, that for us was a fundamentally problematic solution. Great out of the box, room after room, you're going to see that deterioration in performance. So Cyclone technology really goes in a different direction. So it spins the air very fast. This is 79,000 G-forces on the small dust particles.
When you say G-forces, you're talking about the same force that's applied to like an astronaut or something like that shooting off Earth in a rocket. Is that right?
Yeah. So when we talk about G-forces, to put it in the sort of the human scale, a fighter pilot can withstand about 9 G-forces. And I think you black out about 13. I haven't ever tested that myself yet.
But a piece of dust can withstand what's 39,000 G-forces.
But you wouldn't want to be a dust mite.
No, you wouldn't.
Exactly. The dust is pretty comfortable being flung around. But to do that level of separating the finest dust, that's where we need that high acceleration that we get through the root stage in the Cyclone. So as the air enters in, it spins around, and when it passes through these cyclones, that's when we really accelerate the force on the dust. And we find that the point, as it exits out of these cones here, that dust pings off the bottom, and it's so much force pushing those fine particles down that the cool air up through the middle, which is clean from the dust, keeps on passing. So that system is far more robust than a bag. It works room in, room out. As you load it with dust, that ability to suck is maintained because you're not trying to trap it through a filter or a bag. So we're going to give a little bit of demonstration to show how a loaded machine, we've got lentils inside.
Which is very health conscious, by the way, John, and very forward in your thinking. I like it.
We like to be on point.
We are on point, and I feel like we're really, doing it.
So if we just select our max mode, so really if you look into the machines here, so we've just chosen boost with this button here, the machine defaults to auto, so you have to select these other modes.
I'm just going through the modes for everyone to have a look. There's the boost mode. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. And so, even though this is full, is this going to damage the motor or whatever? Because that's pretty full as far as they'll go.
Yeah, you can see there's no adverse tone of the motor. Keep on stuffing at the same rate. There's no difference really you see with the two machines. So this is just to demonstrate there's no reduction in flow as the machine fills up.
It's pretty cool. I like playing with this thing.
You just need one in your house.
Yeah, I just want to get
for your kids to keep
for
you.
That's the new toy from Dyson coming out soon, just entertaining children.
So for us, that's a fundamental part of vacuum cleaner design.
Fundamental?
Yeah.
Fun, yeah.
Oh,
see, that's the fun. Yeah.
That's it.
You know, a vacuum cleaner for us is only really valid if it has constant performance. You know, out of the box performance, most people can achieve. Really for us it's around room after room cleaning that suction is maintained. Now, the next part of the suction story, we have separation that's occurring in the Cyclone. The next part is emissions. So really important to us is, you know, even the finest stuff that maybe could still pass through the Cyclone, you know, small particles, we're talking pollens, allergens, you know, dust mite, feces, all of these other things that, you know, could agitate an allergy sufferer. We want to make sure they're retained in the machine. So this V11 has one single filter, so one to maintain, same as V10.
And this is obviously that easy to get out as well, so it's no hassle cleaning that.
The other thing as well, unsurprisingly, people didn't realise that was the filter. So even simple things for us, like making it clear, people understand that as it looks like a filter, so they can really relate to that. So that was important for us to change. Now, this has the performance level to filter out particles as small as 0.3 of a micron to an efficiency of 99.97. We're going to demonstrate that performance now. So the key thing to look at, as we fill this with a slightly wet type smoke, it's a bit like a disco machine.
It does look very cool when it's going, by the way, guys. You're in for
the key thing to do is to show no smoke coming out from the Dyson exhaust. So I'm just going to set that going here.
It does require a perfect angle to turn it on, however. There you go.
So I'm going to suck that boost mode. So sucking through all of this smoke, and you can see completely clean here. You can see on the contrast there's nothing coming out from the exhaust here. So as I evacuate this chamber, sucking through all that dirt, I'm not emitting anything back into my environment.
So technically, when I'm cleaning the floor with my vacuum, I am at the same time the air that's coming out of it has been cleaned as well.
Yeah, I mean, for us it's about capturing that fine dust inside the machine. So you've gone to all that effort to get the machine out, pick up something from the floor.
Yep.
You want it retained in the machine and not emitted into the air that you breathe in.
It's like the ultimate level of multitasking.
Exactly.
Look at us, we're crushing it so far. It's multitasking everything.
So the next stage really is to talk more about our motor. So I'm going to play a little video here to share our motor. So this is the Dyson V11 motor. So we've evolved and we've built on that V10 platform, and we'll share you the parts that are different. So here's the V11 motor. So it builds on the architecture of V10, but we had to make the impeller bigger because we wanted to have even stronger suction on V11. So we have a bigger diameter V11 impeller. So I'll pass that around so you can have a look, touch. And we found through our understanding of aerodynamics that we could get increased performance by our diffuser arrays here. We've got 3 of them. The first 2 phases reduce turbulence, so it becomes even more efficient. And that third phase, I don't know if you can notice, we've really improved the tonality of the motor, and that's because of this third phase of the diffuser, where we look to baffle the motor without dropping performance, but reducing some of those horrible tones. So with this, spinning 125,000 revolutions per minute, we have a lightweight, super efficient, super performance motor. And to cap that all off, we had 8,000 data points we take per second with the microcontroller. That allows us to adapt to motor performance and also for the machine to react. So that was fantastic. So we have Dyson's most high capacity battery pack. We have no loss of suction as a fundamental technology working to give you constant performance, a clean exhaust airflow, and an amazing digital motor with precise electronic control. That was great. We thought there's one piece that's missing. We didn't have a truly intelligent machine. How could we create a machine that was truly intelligent, that could adapt to different surfaces? All of the research into pickup and runtime, optimization that we do as engineers, how can we embed all that learning back into the machine to benefit all of our owners? The cleaner head was the example. We had to look at the cleaner head. The cleaner head has been pretty much untouched for many years. This has inside a more advanced motor than ever before. It's a brushless motor. In order to control it, we require advanced electronics. This brush bar motor has 80 watts of input power compared to 50 with V10. That makes it excellent at picking up on carpet, but also makes it consume a lot of energy when going on hard floor. As we take a lot of data points from the motor, we're able to monitor the motor performance 360 times per second. So we can really control the way that the brush bar motor performs, and we can really do a lot more other things in order to sense the surfaces that it's being used on. So please have a look at the head. So our brief was pretty simple. We had to take the head and completely re-architect it, bringing in advanced intelligence like we have on the battery pack, like we have on the motor, to create a truly intelligent machine. So it's quite clear that we had to have one head that was great for debris and also deep cleaning, but also a head that had the ability to sense between different floor types. So we could take that burden of our owners and use all the knowledge we require in R&D to make the best clean possible. So I'm going to share with you now how the technology works. We had to basically come up with a technology that was able to sense resistance in the head. Now, here's the demonstration here. You can see what's being shown on the screen. So as I'm moving the cleaner head on carpet, I've got about 20 minutes worth of running time going. Now, as I move on to less resistance on hard floor, you can sense the change in the motor speed. We don't need as much power going into the cleaner head or into the vacuum cleaner motor to get excellent pickup. On hard floor, it's really easy to pick up dirt and debris. So why not give that back to our owners in terms of runtime? Here is 45 minutes now of runtime. And as I move back on there, when we have a transition threshold, we're able to put that in the auto mode back into the carpet to give us deep cleaning on carpet. So I've not touched the head, just got one head, I've not touched the modes, I've basically just pulled the trigger.
Did Dyson get its feedback from its customers, and most people didn't know which head to use on floor surface or which settings to put it on? Is that why you've created technology like this?
Absolutely. So we created a lot of choice with our mode selection, with our different cleaner heads, which created a lot of confusion. So unsurprisingly, the majority of people never change the mode from the mode that it's shipped in. And also, people don't really understand what is the optimum setting or the optimum cleaner head to do cleaning. So why would we ask them to solve that problem when we have 315 engineers who are looking to optimize it every day? So if you have a look inside here, this is a trace we've got running. Afterwards, this presentation will let you experience it for yourself, so you can take a movie and you can see that in real time. Where we look at the power. So if you look here, when I'm on carpet, I'm consuming a lot of power here, so therefore my running time is reduced. However, when I transition to hard floor, the power is reduced, so my running time is increased. Now, if we move over here a little bit, we kind of talk about how we give that back, that information to our owners. So, the analogy we like to use is a car. So when you look into a car, the car has a fuel tank. Now, the driver of the car doesn't care about the percentage of the fuel tank remaining. The guy driving the car, or the lady,
The person.
exactly, cares more about the kilometres that the car can achieve. So, for us, it was important that when you clean for a session. What matters to people is minutes and seconds. So how do we make those things very obvious so people can get the most out of the product? So we shared auto mode, so you can see auto mode is working when I have the high torque head. So I'm transitioning between hard floor and carpet. By making it very visible, people can start to plan and change the way they clean. So for example, if they had an area where they needed to clean more deeply, for example, they wanted to have a bit more performance in a crevice, you can go into breach mode. Or if you're towards the end of the clean where you've been using it all over for a while, I've done everything, I've just got that one little area that I've kind of forgotten. Just give me a little bit of extension. Let me go into eco. So you can see that runtime there is giving you that extension you need just to help you finish that task. So a huge amount of intelligence. Now, what we must stress within this is there's a huge amount of variation and variables. We've tried to characterize around 50 different carpets from around the world. We categorize different people by different heights so that there's different pressures applied from the machine. We've worked out how the brush bar ages to make sure it still has that transition between hard floors and carpets throughout the life. And we also have machine variation. So if you put minutes and seconds, people think this is a very precise measurement. Now, it does get more precise, but we really wanted to give people the most information. So as the machine is used, it adjusts the algorithm and updates more precisely to more accurately predict how much running time is going to be left through the algorithm on board the machine. So we stress for, as people experience this new technology, more intelligence with a screen, this will get more accurate over time due to the algorithms we developed on board, because there's so many sources of variation. We wanted to personalize that running time for you. The other benefit of the screen is the performance of the machine over life. So we're very interested of how our machines perform in the field. And we quite frequently take them back and we assess them. We download information from them in terms of what the motors recorded, and we assess them from a physical perspective to measure their performance. What we've noticed in the majority of cases is that people don't maintain the machine. And that's because people don't understand. It could be a blockage or it could be a filter needs washing. But the majority of the time we think it's a blockage, and around 85 conditions of there being a fault, it's always a blockage. So let me show you what happens when it comes to blockage detection here. So I'm just going to block it. Airway's blocked. And you can then have a little graphic to take you through the machine, and it will tell you where to look. Firstly is empty your bin. Next, look up here, because there could be like a strange leaf or something caught inside your machine that could impair the performance. Look into the wand, because it might be down low. So there's about 5 or 6 different key areas you can look, so you can restore that machine back to its full potential of performance very quickly. Now, not only does that help someone not call us, so they get a very rapid response, it helps them to have the machine functional again. Now we think because people are using those cord-free machines not for this mythical weekly clean, where they clean the house once a week for 40 minutes, because now they're using them daily, we think that downtime is really important as well. People want to use the machine to clean when they see the dust, and they want to have that machine ready to go. So we think this will remove the frustration of people not having a Dyson machine always ready to clean for them.
I can vouch for that. I had the V8 and it was making that noise. Vroom,
Yeah,
vroom,
the
vroom.
motor
And
hunting.
I thought it was the filters. I took the filter out and I washed it. I left it for 24 hours, put the filter back in, and boom, boom, boom. So I looked online and it said, have a look inside. There was something jammed in there, and that's what it was. And I wasted a couple of days of not being able to use it, and that would have been very cool. So I'm very pleased to say.
Actually, believe it or not, I've had the machine for a few weeks, and I managed to do that the first day that I was using it, and the machine told me how to fix it, and it, without having to call up the guys from Dyson and say, I'm sorry, I've just broken the demo model of the machine that you've given me. Yeah, I fixed it myself and it was without a problem. So it really is very cool.
So the interesting thing for us is we didn't actually have to press any menus at that point. It was all very, very simple. It's just around the trigger. So when you want the machine to go, it's saying I can't go, and this is the reason why. And it really stays not working and keeps on giving you information to help them correct it.
It's kind of like idiot-proof vacuuming. It's doing the thinking for you, and if you don't know what you're doing, it's telling you what to do.
I think we would basically flip it on its head and say, hey, we were kind of idiots because we had all this information inside the machine, but we never helped people to understand how they could rectify those problems themselves. So
I like to call it Aaron-proofing because that's always worked for me.
The next part is around filtration. So if you can see there, I just knocked it. Now this filter's not sealed. So if you've got asthma and allergy, well, we wouldn't want that machine not to work without the highest levels of filtration we talked around. So we switch the machine into a mode that prevents it from working, and we tell you why it's not working. So reseat the filter here, and then the machine will be really good to go again. All easy. The other thing it does is also tell you when the filter needs washing. So when it gets to that point, we talk around a wash cycle of, in the most extreme cases, 1 month. So that varies hugely around what you pick up. So this machine now will tell you when it gets to a suboptimal level of performance, you need to wash the filter.
So you can still use it, but you know that you're on the time is getting
and you're in that kind of suboptimal way. So the key thing is to wash the filter, put it back fully dry on the machine, because there's a lot of electronics on board. So obviously we've tested and made sure that they're robust, but to get the best out of the machine, this is a wet-free vacuum cleaner.
Well, electronics and water have never been the best of friends.
So if we kind of reflect on what we've talked about, so for us, starting that journey of constant performance vacuum cleaners through Cyclone technology, digital motors, we've invested £320 million worth in investment into digital motors since 1999. Those kind of fundamental building blocks, we've been able to really unlock the enhancements and development in those areas through the increased intelligence of linking the cleaner head back to the machine and embedded on board that software algorithm that really is those millions of hours worth of testing, so that in your home you should have fantastic performance day in, day out. So for us, V11 is the most high performing cord-free vacuum cleaner out there. It's also our most intelligent. We think the benefits are very obvious in terms of the amount of time it will save you, because you have one head which will do all of the different types of cleaning you need to do. The machine is ready to go, so you can grab and go. You don't have to think about mode selection, it's going to set it up for you. And then with that intelligence on the screen, we're trying to help you to go and, throughout the life, get the best experience possible with the Dyson machine to match the performance you had straight out of the box every day. So that's my part. So I wanted to hand over to Aaron now, who's going to take us back to the real world rather from the Dyson tech world, and is going to talk about how that is relevant in some of the problems he faces as a super dad.
Super dad, that's actually the technical term for it. We're not going to do, obviously this is the technical area, so we're going to follow me and we're going to come into my Dyson house around the corner, and I'm going to show you the practical side of this technology. So I'm going to show you the practical side of the technology. I was given the V11 a few weeks ago to start trialling it around the house. As I said, I'm a house husband. Before I was trialling the V11, I'd actually just bought the V10 myself because it's a great vacuum cleaner. Do you guys have a cordless Dyson vacuum cleaner at home? You'll go. So you'll agree with me then that what you experience first of all, more than anything else, is the freedom that the mobility of the machine gives you. When you're cleaning, you can actually go where you want and you're not bound. For me personally, in my home, the hardest time of the day is mornings. You've got people getting ready for work, kids getting ready for school, it's chaos, everyone running everywhere, trying to get out of the door on time. And when the dust settles and, literally, there's cereal on the floor, there's dishes in the sink, the beds need to be made, and it's lots and lots of work. Now, before I had a cordless vacuum cleaner, of course I had a corded vacuum, and for quick cleans like, cereals and spills and whatever, I couldn't be bothered getting it out because it was literally too much work. You know, you'd have to pull the thing out, pull out the cord, find the point. I couldn't be bothered, so I'd use a brush and pen. But the thing that struck me, first of all, about these machines was that there was no cord, no fuss. You just grabbed it and you go. And you can clean whenever you want, wherever you want. You can make it work for your lifestyle. And what that means as someone who stays at home and, you know, runs a house, is that your house is always clean because, you know, you're on top of the housework instead of the housework getting on top of you. So before, John showed us, oh, let me grab this, the auto mode, which obviously you take the machine off the charger and it's in auto mode straight away. So you don't have to think, have I got this right? It does the thinking for you. We're just going to do it in a practical sense of just watching it pick up some stuff from the carpet. In auto mode, you can hear it when I pull the trigger. You can hear the pitch change in the motor as it's kind of, the dynamic load sensor is picking up that it's on a carpeted surface. It needs a certain amount of suction for that, and it adjusts the high torque cleaner head accordingly and adjusts the brush speed so that when I push it forward, it picks up without a problem. But as soon as I move this to a hard surface, you can hear that it takes a second to figure out where it is, because you don't want something that changes all the time, because otherwise that would be insane. So it figures out where it is, and then adjusts its suction, adjusts the brush head, and then picks up accordingly. Now, as you saw before, when John was showing the demonstration with the camera over the battery life changes from the carpet surface to the hard surface. And of course, that's because the suction changes, you're not using as much power. But what that means in a practical sense is that you're going to get the best clean for the surface that you're on, and you're going to get the most efficient clean for the surface that you're on, in the sense of not using up the battery, because at the end of the day, you know, if the thing discharges, then you can't clean. But as John told us, this has the most powerful battery that Dyson's ever put in a vacuum. That's correct? Yep. I can testify that this is more than enough power to do your house without ever running out of battery. But you also employ, and let me see if I've got this right, it's called fade-free floor cleaning. Is that right? That's right. Okay. Now what that means is that your suction level at 80% power is not going to be any different at 20% power. It's not going to be any different at 5% power. In fact, you will have the same suction level until this machine discharges and needs to be recharged again. In a practical sense, that means I don't have to do as much housework, because I don't have to go back and correct the problem that hasn't picked up all the particles after 50% or something like that. Again, it makes it efficient. Now, to me, technology is about three things. It needs to be reliable, it needs to be really easy to use, and it needs to be adaptable for the environment that I'm going to use it in. Pretty simple. So what we're going to do now, these are some pretty cool things here. I know this is not a big innovation as far as technology goes, but this little clip here, I think this is one of the coolest features that's on it, because I had the V10 at home and I would have to go and get the attachments from the cradle, and I don't have to do that anymore. In fact, they're right here. So I'm going to take this head off. Oh, there you go. And I'm going to put this on. Now, in my house, before I met a Dyson engineer, oh, I can't get this off. Look at me go. There you go, because I was pressing it the wrong way. This was called a hundreds and thousands picker-upper. I've since been told it is called a chronostor. Okay, but if you guys want to call it a hundreds and thousands picker-upper in your article, I'll be really, really impressed to be able to read that. So what I like straight away about this is, okay, you put on something like the crevice tool and you want to clean your hard to reach places, okay? Just say you've had a bit of a party, you've decided to use a popper up there or something like that. You can pull that up. You can get into all the spaces that your high torque cleaner head can't get into, behind the couch, all those things. But the thing that strikes you is that you are not bound by a cord nor placement of a power point. And that means that everything is going to be fast and efficient, because you can get done what you need to get done as quickly as possible. And again, if you're at home and this is what you're doing during your day, you want to get it done as fast as you can. Now, this one, the fluffy one, what's that called?
We call it soft roller, but it's also affectionately called fluffy.
Fluffy, okay. I'm going to put this back on here. Hang on, first. because I don't want to make a mess in the Dyson house. You know, what am I doing wrong, John? I think I'm just pushing it too hard. There you go, perfect. Okay, so Fluffy, Mr. Fluffy, just Fluffy. Fluffy. Okay, so we're going to put this onto eco mode, you can see here. Now eco mode, of course, is the longest battery life that you've got, and we're just going to clean up just the spilled pet food. As you can see, it does it without a problem. Not an issue whatsoever. Let me just take this one off here.
If you have two of them at home, do you have kids that think they're lightsabers and they're trying to...
Yes, you do. In fact, there's the lightsaber guarantee that comes out of it. One of the things that I really like about this vacuum is when you remove the wand, right? I'll just take this off here. Okay, so when you remove the wand, this in my house is called the glitter brush because my daughter, she's 4 years old and she's obsessed with glitter. So I have glitter from one end of the house to the other at the moment. There you go. If you've got a small child that likes to decorate your house with glitter, this is the brush to use. What's the actual name of the brush?
This is called the combi tool.
Okay, this is the combi tool. So with the bristles like this, you can pick up dust, flour, stuff like that. Is that right?
I mean, and it's great for liberating kind of glitter or fibres from other fibres. So it kind of does that sort of scraping effect. Great if you've got cars in the mats, if you've got a load of pet hair stuck in a rug, or if you want to use it in a slightly different way to do large debris.
This is really good for cereal.
Yeah, so kind of concentrated debris.
Like this. Should I be brave enough to have a go there on the floor, John?
This will be fine. I think
I can't leave a mess.
I think it's all about the speed at which you're picking them up. If you can pick them all up very quickly, then coalesce in it. So,
I would be really disappointed if I left the mess in the Dyson house. I'd get into lots of trouble, actually. Okay, so the thing about this with the wand off, which I really liked, was the fact that this is a handheld vacuum cleaner.
Looks like a blaster.
Exactly, and it's a handheld vacuum cleaner with, as we said before, 20, yes, exactly, I can get it like that. It's got 20% more suction than the V10, which makes it like about the most powerful handheld vacuum you're going to find. Now, if I get this, oh, can you help me there get that crevice tool off? Perfect. If I get this crevice tool, put it on like this, of course I can get stuff like, we've got M&Ms down here, I'll put this just on eco mode.
Yeah, we found out earlier that we had too much suction.
Yeah, we had it on the beast mode and it actually almost sucked the couch up as well. But the cool thing about this, if anyone's got kids, you'll know the back of your car is an absolute disaster. There's crumbs and there's everything. This is great because you've got a really powerful vacuum to take out to the car to clean up, which I just think is one of the best innovations. Now, of course, you just take off the hundreds and thousands crevice tool, and then you can pick up the cat hair thingy, which is really, really good for the motorised tool.
Well, yeah, for us it's about stairs, it's about cleaning mattresses and getting deep, that high suction, getting all of those dust mites out.
Get hair off this couch like this. Put this on boost mode. And it's really, really easy. Get that off. But this was interesting. If we move over here to the bed area.
Can I just ask quickly, because we were talking about over there about how so many customers either overwhelmed or feel confused about there being so many different heads, and that's why you developed the new one. So then, do you anticipate they're still not going to use this many heads?
Well, I think when it comes to sort of cleaning upholstery and cleaning mattresses, we think that's a slightly different thing. When it comes into the main cleaner head, we think that's where people just aren't interested in changing the head, but we do get a lot of feedback around tools. What are the best tools to do certain jobs?
And people might prefer to use a dedicated tool rather than the one that's been on the carpet.
Absolutely.
Like on their bed or something. They might think, oh, maybe I'll change it this time.
People start to dedicate tools for certain jobs. So that's my tool that I'm happy to have in my bed. That's my tool that I'm happy to have in a kitchen. And so those kind of start to be placed in certain areas in terms of their usage.
Again, it's adaptable for what you want it to be.
And then the other thing is with the storage on the wand, so that accessibility. So going back to that point of people who want to change their head, how do we make those frequently used tools always there if you want to grab the machine and go? So just a little simple feature like the wand clip, we think gives people that potential for having it always around with you, so you have to go back to dock.
Which is something that you used to have on the, or that you have on the corded units. Yeah, those other heads are always there, so you've just simply brought that to your cordless range.
Which, it's fantastic. It's there because it's convenient. Now, this is something I didn't know, and perhaps I'm a fool for not knowing it. But the bed itself and the mattress obviously harbours dust mites and the feces of dust mites, which is a major cause of allergens and hay fever and stuff like that. Is that correct?
Yeah, so if you're sensitive to allergens, the feces produced by dust mites can really inflame that kind of sensitivity. So we would advise regularly cleaning certainly your mattress. When we've done testing, we've extracted a huge amount of dust out of mattresses and a huge amount of dust mites and dust mite feces. So we've got a microbiology lab, so we take it very far and actually understand what really is in people's homes.
Now, you can't see it because, of course, this is a new mattress, but this actually pulls the dust and the dust mites up through, and if you did this on your mattress at home that hadn't been cleaned, you will see it in here. It's that actually quite dramatic. And a little bit gross as well. Yes, we're
just on that as well, because it's all about filtration. So with these very fine particulates that are inside, that if you're an allergy sufferer, it's really important to have the integrity of that sealing system and capturing all those fine particulates inside. Otherwise, you're just recirculating and potentially making it worse for people.
Again, at the end, like another thing, just really easy. Put this one, I'm on boost mode there. Just go back to auto, and you can see just how easy it is to use in these environments. Picking up dust bunnies and what have you under the bed. But at the end of it, when you empty this, and this is one thing I really like because no one wants a mess at the end of cleaning up, which there's no point to. You just simply hold it over your bed like that, out, and you're done. And it's that easy. So that's the V11 in a nutshell. If you're going to put it onto social media, well, it's not in a nutshell, it's in my hand, but if you're going to put it into social media on Thursday, remember to tag it with Dyson V11. We have, because of course we're very, very fantastic. By the way, if you want John and I to come to your next party, or if you're having some kind of wedding or something like that,
or just to clean your house.
Or to clean your house. We are available for those things. We'd be happy to come out. We've got some food for you for coming down. So I believe that we've got some sticky pork tacos and some orecchiette with some mushrooms and broccoli and homemade sourdough breadcrumbs for you to enjoy. I've written the recipes myself, so as a bit of a tribute to Dyson. Now, don't worry, by the way, if you make a mess, because we've got the vacuums here to clean up after you. But before you go, if I could just have an extra minute of your time. Obviously, I've been asked by Dyson to try their vacuum cleaners and come down and talk to you today about them. But whether or not I was asked by Dyson to have a positive opinion of them, I've always had one anyway. And the simple reason is because Dyson make products that actually do what they say they can do. In this world that we live in where everything's disposable, where nothing does what it says, where everything's a rip-off and everything breaks, these guys make products that make your home life better. I've got a family member, and I'm not going to say their name because I want them to speak to me after this is all done, and you're the media, so if you print their name, that's not going to be good. They really love a bargain, for want of a better word. And they recently bought a cyclonic vacuum cleaner from a discount store. They got it home, it looked like a Dyson, they used it, and they were outraged when it didn't do what it was supposed to do. And I actually did receive a very angry phone call about it as well. The thing is that there's a million imitators out there, but Dyson is an innovator because it has the scientists, it has the engineers, and it's had its feedback and working with its customers since 1970 to make sure that it's delivering devices that do something that's actually positive in your home. As a house husband, Dyson's products, they take the work out of the housework that I'm doing and they make my life easier. And to me, that's what technology is supposed to be about. So thank you so much for coming down and enjoying our little demonstration, John, and I hope you enjoy our refreshments. Make sure that you talk to John for all the expert knowledge. Make sure you talk to me if you want to talk about food or anything else. And go and investigate all of the things that we've shown you. We can play around with the vacuum cleaners. You can have a go yourselves. Yeah, have a play. We'd love to hear your feedback from it.
Thank you.